Welcome to the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. Your adventure into the world of comic book movies starts here.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. My name's Travis.
And I'm Patrick. And today we have a special guest, Jarf, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jarf from Dazed and Confused 33 and a third. Fan of the show. This is my first appearance, so I'm very excited.
It's finally getting you on the show. I'm excited you're here.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, I've been holding out for Steel this whole time.
Who knew? I mean, we tried to give him, Indiana Jones. We threw some Star Wars movies at him. Jarf said, no.
None of that. Give me Steel.
That's right.
Yeah, so the Shaquille O'Neal gem of the 90s, not to be confused with Superman.
No, this movie has nothing to do with Superman. That's we'll be sued if we try to say that it has any connection to Superman.
Not even the offshoots after he died.
Well, yeah.
Pretty sure that's where it came
That's
from.
yeah.
That's my biggest pet peeve about this movie.
Yeah.
That they don't play into the Superman connection.
I mean, we can dive right into that because it's such a wasted opportunity. I mean, maybe at this point, it would be weird to have a character when you haven't done a Death of Superman, to have a movie that, I don't know, you could do this character without the Death of Superman. Certainly.
Yeah, they did in the animated series.
Okay. I don't know. Did they just introduce him as just a character?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's been a while. Yeah, so I guess, Jarf, what's your history with Steel? Or with this movie? Let's start there.
Yeah, so let's start with the movie. And I was dimly aware of it coming out when it was released in 97. By the way, I can't believe that this movie came out just 1 year before Blade, which seems like it was made in a completely different time. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I never saw it back then. I caught wind of it being really bad and that they didn't play into the Superman connection and that they cast Shaq, and it was just a big no for me. But I saw that it was going to be coming up on your schedule, so I actually watched it for the first time just earlier this year.
Okay.
To decide, was there enough there that was worth talking about? Doesn't mean it's good, but worth talking about.
Sure.
And I decided it was. And so then I went on more of a deep dive of some of the comics.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again, of course, the other day just to refresh my memory. But yeah, I'm coming at the movie relatively fresh, but I always liked the idea of the character and this thought that an everyday person with no superpowers would be inspired by Superman, put an S on his chest, use his engineering skill, and try and protect people, and not just go out there with military-grade hardware and fight street criminals with switchblades, but actually try to operate at Superman's level without his superpowers.
Right.
So that's where a lot of the complication comes. And then, of course, he's also doing that as a black man.
Sure.
So when I did my comic deep dive, I found the original run I didn't really love it.
Okay.
I mean, the Death of Superman, Reign of the Superman, that's all well and good. But then once he launched into his own title, the first thing they did is take the S off of his chest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He says, so Superman had briefly died, of course. He came back to life. And so he's like, okay, I feel like I don't deserve to have this emblem anymore. And so then he's just, for many, many issues, he is just dude in a metal suit.
Yeah.
And they don't really introduce interesting villains or really kind of tie into his cultural connection. For a while he's in DC. It's the whitest DC I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave up on that run for a while, but issue 34, Christopher Priest took over as writer.
Okay.
And Dennis Cohen as artist. And they carry that title for the rest of the run, 34 to 52, and that is all great.
Okay.
So that's what I would recommend if you want to see Steel in action. First thing they do is have him put the S back on his chest.
Right on.
He actually has a little conversation with Superman and says, I'm thinking about putting the emblem on again. I really like what it stands for. And Superman kind of gives him the nod and the thumbs up. And so then he is actually dealing with people who will sometimes think that he's Superman. And he's like, no, I'm not Superman. And to just give you one example and then enough with the comic. So there is a building that's about to collapse from a fire. And the firefighters they're trying to save people. Steel shows up and they say, oh, thank God, Superman, you're here. You've got to hold up this building while we get the people to safety. And he's like, these jet boots are just enough to propel the suit. I can't hold up a building. So then he's got to find a way to do it. So he takes one of their trucks and he wedges it into the building. And he's like, I hope this cab holds out long enough for them to get him out and my suit protects me. So it's that stuff is interesting. And does this movie have any of that? No.
Yeah. That's all great. I have no history with the movie. At the time, I think had this movie had a Superman connection, I think I would have wanted to see it. I remember hearing about, it not having any of that connection. And so I just thought it was, it's lame. I didn't like the idea then that this was just a guy in a suit, So I ignored it then. And I read the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman comics, but I never really read any Steel. But I might, based on what you've said, I'm definitely interested in at least reading that Christopher Priest run. But yeah,
Nice. It's worth your while.
Okay. So yeah, really no history with Steel until watching this for the first time, yesterday morning. Patrick, had you seen the movie before?
No, I think, what was it? I think it was weird just being Shaq. So I was like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
And did Kazam come out before this? The Genie?
Not sure.
movie with
Probably. I'm betting that was like 95, if I had to guess. Maybe 96. What year was Blue Chips? I remember watching Blue Chips with Shaq.
Oh, that would have been early.
And I really liked that one. I feel like that was
But,
94. Okay.
Yeah, Kazam kind of... I was good after that.
Yeah.
My brother was really into Shaq, and I just assumed it was going to be more of like kind of goofy Shaq that's also still trying to be a rap artist. But he actually came off, like, I haven't seen it, but like this is my first time watching, and he came off actually pretty good.
I agree. I actually liked him throughout the movie. I thought what they were having him do, I thought he did a pretty decent job at it.
I was thoroughly impressed that he could move the way he did. Like, he's a big dude.
He really is. There was one scene when, like, early on when he's leaving the military base and he's walking next to Charles Napier playing the colonel, and they're just in this wide open military base, and they're just walking down the sidewalk side by side, and he is like a head and a half taller than everyone else in this movie that he's in a scene with. Yeah, I just forgot.
A bit distracting.
Yeah, I forgot how big he was.
It's like 7'1", I think.
Yeah,
he's up there. Hard to stunt double for that.
I thought about that several times. I wondered if that was an issue, but
I read that it was, and I'm surprised
that
that you were impressed with the way that he moves, because I thought that was a big drawback. I thought that a lot of the stunts looked slow and awkward, and it was because they couldn't get someone to stunt double, and Shaq doesn't really have that training. I
did think that a lot of the action scenes in this, it's mostly him standing still, like when there's the scene of the rival gangs are shooting at each other, and so then he's just in the middle of the street. He's drawing all their fire, and the car starts to, is going to run him down. And it's kind of like a RoboCop thing where he doesn't move around a whole lot in those action scenes. He uses the weapons and stuff as ranged weapons and manages to fight them that way. But yeah, he's not really moving around a ton. except for oddly when he's like scrambling over a rooftop to evade the cops. Like that was probably the most action he really was doing.
Yeah, I think the part that got me was when he was chasing after the kid through the rail yard.
Yeah, I like that
And
scene.
he moved pretty good because I'm used to Shaq beating down old Shaq playing basketball where you're lucky if he makes it halfway down the court in a half hour. So to me, the bar is set real low for
Sure.
Shaq just because of the
Yeah.
sheer weight and size of the man. Like I saw him take off and I was like, wow, he could actually move back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the suit's on, it's basically useless. It's like his entire body is the Batman cowl. It's
Right.
like you can't move that well in either direction. So maybe that might have been for the best in his case, because I don't know if he could have pulled off anything more mobile.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of all right. We're doing this.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be so awful.
I'll say this up front. It was better than I expected because I've only ever heard how terrible this movie was. So I don't think it was as bad as what I was expecting. So
It's got Shaft in it. Come on.
it sure does. As
Make a horrible joke about it.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
That I was like, hey, is he talking about like a dick or? Oh wait, that's Shaft.
Right,
That's
yeah.
why he's saying that. Okay. I was
Oh,
like,
are
this is
we
weird.
going right there? Because that was the lowest moment of the movie for me.
Really?
Uh,
I gave that the chef's kiss.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if you're just listening and you're just letting us, listeners, if you're just letting us watch Steel so you don't have to, so here's the setup. So they're giving him his armor and his weapon, and his friend Sparky says, guy like John Henry's got to have a hammer. And then Uncle Joe, so that is
Richard
Roundtree, who played Shaft, he says, like, oh, I like that hammer. I especially like the shaft. And then Shaq, and Annabeth Gish both look at him like, Uncle Joe. And it's like, is this the Steel 90s sitcom?
Yeah.
This is terrible. And I mean, I don't even mind a nodding reference to the audience, but that is not even close to the best version of that joke. It's just so, it's like the first draft. It's so awkward.
You
I
expect
hated it.
Yeah, you expect them to look at the camera and wink, and they do the same kind of thing a few times. I think maybe 3 times throughout the movie. Anytime they reference Shaq's free throwing ability, I mean, hell, yeah, we'll get there.
Hey, I've got a punch up suggestion for the Shaft joke.
Okay.
So he gets the hammer, and then Richard Roundtree says, with that hammer, you'll be one bad mother. And then Smark is like, shut your mouth.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah, because what we got was kind of like a weird joke for a kid movie.
Yeah, it
Because it was kind of gross.
right. Yeah, because you're instantly. I picked up on the sexual innuendo, and then I was like, oh, right, he's Shaft.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
And anytime a joke makes you go, oh, I see what you're doing, that's not good.
Yeah.
I think I was just in the mood for bad.
Right.
Like, it didn't. I was like, I set my expectations at Mario Brothers.
Oh, okay.
I was treating it like a video game movie, like a bad one.
Sure.
And I think I was rewarded with the expectations I put because I felt there was a kinship.
Nice.
So
The way the movie starts, it's there's this weapons test, and Jarf is he at all in the weapons game in the comics, or is he just a steel worker? What I know of John Henry Irons in the comics is he has an engineering background. I don't know how that and some steel work ability, skills.
Yes. So it's a bit confusing. So he is an engineer, and then he is upset that some of his designs have been used for weapons.
Okay.
And so he has some regrets. And so at the time that he encounters Superman in the comics, he is working as a steel worker on a high-rise building. And then one of his coworkers almost gets into an accident, and then he risks his life to save the person. And then in the process, he falls off the construction site, and then Superman saves him. Right. And that's how he gets inspired. So yeah, some engineering, some steel work.
Okay.
It's got an Iron Man vibe to him.
It really does. I noticed several times that this movie, if they tried to make an Iron Man movie in the 90s, like they threatened to, so many times, it would be a lot like this movie, I thought. Even the opening credits with the molten steel kind of pouring into forms. I mean, just shy of having like hammer and anvil like noises. I think it'd be a lot the same, and even the origin story feels honestly a little bit like Iron Man. I mean, the simplified version of the Robert Downey kind of movie. I mean, and it's following the somewhat typical hero's journey. I mean, that's not unique to Iron Man. So,
and his name is Irons. And then you got Sparky. That's like Stark. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah.
That was weird.
But I kind of like that opening weapons test gone wrong sort of setup, because it gives you kind of everything you need with the characters. He wants to make weapons that don't hurt people. Then you've got Judd Nelson, who just wants to create havoc. It kind of seems like he just wants to destroy things and make the biggest explosion, essentially.
See, I thought he was more motivated by money.
Okay.
Because he has that little aside with the senator, and he is going to do whatever it takes to get the military contract. Yeah. So I thought it was just about him being ruthless.
Yeah, it seems to be like towards the end they talk about it, even that it's about power more than money.
Yeah.
But I thought he was just trying to climb the ranks.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's
mentions making him captain or something.
Yeah. He's just trying to gain power, make a name for himself. I mean, he's really just a mustache twirling villain, I kind of thought.
Yeah. I wish he was less Judd Nelson-y. Like, he's just such a one note.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even try to be friendly with anyone. And when he does try, it's just painfully obvious he's trying. Like with the, what was that dude? Eye patch guy.
Oh, sure. Slats.
Slats? Yeah. Slat, whatever.
Slippy, Slappy, Swanson?
Yeah. I like that he just got court-martialed for killing a senator, potentially, and crippling a fellow colleague.
Right. That whole hearing thing went differently than I was expecting. I thought, what's Judd Nelson's character? Burke, right?
Burke, yeah.
Burke. I thought he was going to spin the whole thing and frame I keep blanking on like what to call Shaq. I guess they all call him Johnny. But I thought the hearing was going to go like Burke was going to frame Johnny, and then that was how the movie would kind of start, with maybe Johnny goes to prison or somehow gets shamed kicked out of the army or something like that. But I was surprised that the court understands that it was all Burke's fault, and they court-martial him, and then Johnny leaves of his own, because he doesn't like the way things are going.
Yeah, I like your version better, Travis.
I just assumed that was how it was going to play out, so I was surprised, but ultimately,
when you thought they'd zag.
Yeah. Ultimately,
I think everyone was surprised by how it went. I was like, oh, that went a lot smoother than I thought.
Yeah.
They just took his word for it. All right.
Then everyone heads to L.A. I mean, Shaq catches a bus to L.A. to young MC's bust a move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it kind of picked up a bit for me.
Yeah.
Because I think that I had a rougher time with this first segment than either of the two of you.
Okay.
I thought Shaq was charming, but that's really the limits of his acting. So it's 6 minutes in, there's a big accident, and asking him to go, no, and then slow-mo try to save us. I'm like, I'm feeling this is going to be a really bad movie. And then he's really wooden in the Senate hearing, in the court martial.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then he's on the bus, he's heading home, it's bus to move, and it's like, okay, it's going to be a fun like movie. It's okay. So
yeah.
Then I was a bit back into it.
See, I liked this opening bit, kind of all the setup stuff. It's the middle of the movie that really dragged for me because there was so much like returning home and hanging out with family and various like weapons on the streets kind of scenes, and then like
who wasn't there a spot with like a random lady that was a cop that they were hanging with?
So I definitely want to talk about that because
I don't remember her ever coming back.
Yeah,
she
got replaced by an old guy.
I thought that was so weird because we meet his Johnny returns to home and meets up with Martin, and I don't know, is Martin, I thought Martin was his cousin or nephew, but
the
then
little kid,
brother,
the kid,
okay. Yeah,
okay, so they are
That's
okay.
Ray J, man.
Well, I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is?
I know the name. I think I know something he's associated with.
Okay. Yeah, keep it up. All right.
Yeah.
This is another missed opportunity, by the way, because in the comics, John Henry has a niece, Natasha Irons.
Okay.
And she becomes a main character, and she's a perfect person to play off of him because Steele's a bit more serious, and she's a teenager rather than a little kid.
Yeah.
She wants to be a hero in her own right. She's got a great storyline in the series 52, where Lex Luthor gives everyday people superpowers, and Steele doesn't want her to go out for it, naturally suspecting that Lex Luthor has alternate motives, and then they end up fighting. So yeah, I think it would have been so much better if you would have someone who's a teenager who could kind of, the first time she sees him in the costume, she makes fun of how it looks, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I didn't mind Martin too much. I thought there was such a wasted opportunity with him because they establish, maybe the second time you see him, that he's got a job at this arcade. And so another few scenes go by, and then he's talking to a friend who's like, okay, you're going to get me this job, right? And then next time you see him in this arcade job situation, he's meeting Burke. And it's like they keep telling us that he's got this job. And I think the obvious thing to do with this is for Burke to start to, twist Martin and get him to do crime, because he sets up early that he specifically wants Martin to have this job because he's trying to do this like long con revenge plot against John Henry, and that goes nowhere with Burke and Martin. Like, ultimately at the end, he just uses Martin, briefly as a hostage. But if they had somehow had, Burke manipulated Martin to be his little, protege, I think that there really could have been a battle for Martin's soul, almost like between John Henry telling him to do the right thing and Burke, angel and devil sort of situation. But they set it up and do nothing with it.
I'm glad that you teased that out, though, because I was wondering why even have teenagers as the antagonists in the first place, kind of Foot Clan style. Yeah. Because it's not fun to watch a dude in armor fight teenagers on the street.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I had fun with it. It made me think about doing that to the kids in my neighborhood.
Oh, no.
Get off my lawn, you damn brats. No, yeah, I get what you're saying, though. It's kind of low stakes.
Yeah.
Fighting the neighborhood toughs. Mm-hmm. But,
Yeah.
I did like their hangout, though. Yeah, in all those video games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, to go back to the police lady that they catch a ride, they're gonna go to a community. What do you call those things?
It's like a town hall.
Town hall. Thank you. Yeah, they're going to one of those. Martin and John Henry are riding with this lady cop that they don't introduce. Suddenly, they're just with her, but you know that they're friendly enough. Or I didn't know if this was Martin's mom. Maybe I didn't know that they were brothers. I thought that they were uncle nephew sort of thing. So I thought maybe this was Martin's mom. And then she gets they come upon this weapons, not test. The bad guys are breaking into this bank, and that they just kind of happen to be the nearest squad car available. And yeah, she gets kind of, I guess, injured in that he has to pull her out of the damaged car. And then yeah, she's never in the movie again. So
yeah,
it's a weird setup for a character we don't know who,
And did you catch they had a history as well, like a romantic history?
Yeah, I assume they were dating at one point.
Because when they got in the car, it was there was some kind of line like, oh, this feels familiar, or remember the last time we were in a car? Wink, wink, that kind of thing. The character's name was Norma, by the way.
Oh yeah, Norma.
Good old Norma.
They kind of. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I was confused why they were even going, because if you're a cop, you're not going to take like 2 civilians into a bank robbery situation.
I wondered about that too, but the radio did say like a nearest available unit or something like that.
Yeah.
So
say you're not available. You got 2 citizens.
Yeah. I have a child.
I definitely questioned that too. Yeah.
There's literally a 12-year-old back here.
But yeah, I could have seen them teasing her character out more, maybe making her a romantic interest, or at least having her as someone who has a history with steel, and then is a connection to the community, because he's gone away, he's been with the army, and now he's come back, and so she could be the one that kind of could remind them, like, hey, a lot of people can get caught in the crossfire when you're out there playing superhero, and like those kind of things. I feel like if it just had a little bit more authentic texture, it would really be improved.
Yeah. And once he's running around as Steel, he'll run into a cop, a rookie cop and a senior cop duo, like 2 or 3 times. Why isn't she the junior cop to the senior cop? And it's the guy playing the senior cop is Tom Barry, who he's great in things. He's in the Fast and Furious, you want time, buy a magazine. He's the kind of jerk FBI guy that's given Paul Walker guff.
Oh, right.
He's great in things.
I recognized him. Yeah, he is good.
I really liked him in this movie. There's a lot of good people in the movie. Another one is someone I've been a fan of for a while. It's his name's Kevin Grevu. His last name has a lot of vowels and an X thrown in there, so it's very difficult to pronounce. But he's the main henchman for Burke, or like he's previously
deep voice guy.
Yeah, real deep voice. Yeah. He's been in a bunch of stuff we've talked about. He was a henchman in The Mask and Batman Forever.
From Underworld, I think.
Yeah, he goes on to create the Underworld universe. Like that's he wrote the Underworld movies.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
cool.
he's in the Underworld movies as like the main henchman there, like the big main werewolf. I like him, but it was kind of cool to see him here.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Now you got me thinking about Underworld.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the cop lady got paralyzed because everyone he seems to have a relationship just ends up that way. But yeah, she just disappears.
It just disappears, yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Let's talk about when he does go home. We kind of went past it a little bit with when he returns home, he goes to visit his grandma. I like her. I like this lady. She has that, like, she figures it out that he's Steel eventually, and she approves. So I kind of like that. It's kind of the opposite of Aunt May, who is just fearful of her, of Peter becoming Spider-Man and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I liked her throughout the movie, but we meet her. She's making soufflé, and it's gets ruined and everything.
I like that running gag. I like that they gave her something that had nothing to do with Steel or the weapons or anything. It was just she's trying to master the art of French cooking.
Right.
And they return to it a couple of times, so it's not just a throwaway. So I thought that was fun.
Mm-hmm. There's a few points in this movie, obviously, like when you see Shaq with a tank top on, he has a big Superman tattoo.
Yeah.
It says Man of Steel, and when we first see him at his steel mill job, when he kind of gets back on his feet, the song playing is, I don't know if it's called Superman, but the lyrics have Superman in the song, and I forget, there might be one other thing, but is this movie in a world where Superman is real, or a world where he's inspired by the comic book character Superman?
It seemed more like comic book character.
Okay.
Because at one point, Uncle Joe says, "You're not Superman."
Oh, yeah.
And it's more like the idea of being Superman is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And not like, there's already a Superman.
Yeah.
I feel like they left it ambiguous enough that it could go either way.
I did notice when at one point, or maybe a couple points when we're in the arcade, there's definitely a Batman Forever arcade game.
Yeah.
So if there is a Superman, there's definitely not a real world Batman.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's so funny.
The part that lost me was when it's like after the bank heist and Shaq's talking to the general or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out who could be behind this. And I'm like, you don't know anybody that's dodgy, maybe on your team,
Yeah.
maybe willing to do anything that might come to mind? It's just like nothing.
Yeah.
And it was just driving me nuts the entire time. I was like, how do you not know who that is? How does everybody not know who Steel is? There can't be that many 7'1"
Right.
men of his size.
Yeah.
And the fact that the general can't even put it together is beyond me on either end, whether it's Burke or Johnny. It's just ludicrous that you've got these specific weapons that these 4 or 5 people know out on the street, and you can't figure out who's doing that.
Well,
Really?
it's one of these movies where the streets are empty,
Oh, yeah.
at any given point, and all of the shots, they're just deserted, and like the people that get mugged later, they're the only people in the street, it's just one of those movies that it's like, this is LA, but I mean, you kind of have to overlook that sort of stuff, but
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of get bored until he becomes Steel, honestly.
and that takes so long. Like it's such a long time before there's even a hint that he's gonna start suiting up. Like there's a scene where he goes to, I mean, we didn't really talk much about her, but Annabeth Gish, her character Sparks, she gets paralyzed early on in that weapons test, and now he catches up to her. She's in a VA hospital in St. Louis, and there's a scene in this movie where a man kidnaps a woman who's literally saying, "I don't want to go, put me down," and people applaud as he carries her out.
Thank you for pointing that out. That drove me up a wall.
Yeah.
Especially because there's a scene later where she falls out of her wheelchair and Uncle Joe wants to help her.
Yeah.
And Steele's like, no. She's got to do this for herself. And then she struggles back up, and then they have a look where it's like, yes, thank you for giving me my independence. But it's completely undercut by the fact that he scooped her up, wheelchair at all, and carried her out of the VA hospital.
Yeah.
Like you said, ugh.
To be fair, they could have been applauding because she's a real asshole.
Finally, she's gone. She's really bringing this place
staring
down.
out the window despondently. She wasn't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
She just had a bad vibe, I guess.
Like,
But yeah, it
she
was
just
like-
creeps me out.
It was supposed to be like it made me think of, what was that movie with Richard Gere that ends kind of that way, where he picks her up and they play like some cheesy music.
Pretty Woman?
Officer and a Gentleman?
Yes, Officer and a Gentleman, Pretty Woman. Yeah, he picks her up for something else.
Yeah. That's at the start of the movie. He picks her up.
Right.
Yep. Pretty Woman.
He brings her to the junkyard, which is another like thing that they haven't established yet. You know, it just they treat it as if, oh yeah, they're going to the junkyard. Oh, and they're going to meet Uncle Joe, and that we haven't met yet. And when he brings her there, she says like, "What's that?" And the camera doesn't even linger on anything. And he said, "Oh, that's for later." And I don't know if there were hints of his suit there, or I don't know what it was, because like I said, they don't linger on it, so I don't know what. Oh, he brings her to the junkyard. He shows her a bathroom, and it's like, I think what's going on is like there's now handles, like handicap accessible handles, but he just shows her a bathroom. It's so weird.
It's so awkward.
But yeah, their dynamic is weird.
I like them together. You know, I
can't tell.
Do you
if
like
they're
them
supposed to be
touching
romantic
tips?
Or
yeah, the touching tips thing happens a little too much.
Tip touching. Yeah,
but I do think that there's a romantic, you know, feeling on both sides at the end. I mean, throughout as well, but.
Well, at the end, it's just hilarious. You think they're going to kiss, and then they just hug. And the grandma's just acting like they got married or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the movie, they don't know what they want to do with the two of them. But
So, this junkyard. Is it your understanding that Uncle Joe is a fence for stolen goods?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, things just fall off the back of a truck sometimes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like that's definitely where they were going, but then he's got his valuable stuff just mixed in amongst the junk
and artwork, you know.
Yeah, is he supposed to be the sculptor that's making those funky metal
who knows
sculptures?
If movies have taught me nothing, they've taught me that all junkyard owners are also artists. You know, they're also metal sculptors. You know, they do this junk art. I mean,
yeah. Well, the junkyard at least has an awesome view of L.A., downtown L.A.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing seeing palm trees and junkyard combined. It's off-putting. But, yeah, I did not quite, understand Uncle Joe. Like, just...
It seemed like there was a big chunk here where they've had a discussion. They've made a plan of him, you know, making a suit and starting this life as a crime fighter, but like we don't get any of that. There's no hint of it, and even once they start like working in the junkyard, and then we get like a montage kind of gets started, we still don't know what they're making or what the plan is. You know, I mean, I keep going back to thinking about Iron Man. It's like when he's in a cave, you know, kind of from the get-go that, or they figured out pretty soon, you know, him and Jensen, like he's going to make a suit of armor and he's going to, you know, escape this place. Here, it's like there's really no hint of armor. He's pounding out like a flat, you know, plate for a while, and then eventually it starts to take form, you know, and you start to realize he's making like shoulder pauldrons and things like leg armor and various pieces. But I don't know, it takes so long to get there.
Even though it made no sense, I enjoyed this montage because of the way they cut between Steel hammering out the armor, and then they would cut to Sparky just working on her computer, and it would be like heroic pound, pound, pound on the anvil or whatever. And then you cut to Sparky and she's like, Control C, like triumphantly. It was just so goofy.
It's also married up with a song by someone named Marvin Winans. It's called like Steal Yourself. And there's like lyrics like, you know, literally says steal yourself and stand up and just all this heroic, you know, very inspiring sort of stuff. This is probably about the time that she falls over and has to pick herself back up, that sort of thing. And there's a weird little moment where Uncle Joe says, "What's her story?" And John Henry says her father she's got a dead father and a drunk mom or something like that. She's on her own. It's just this weird. I don't know. It just felt so out of place. Like, and she's also paralyzed. Like it just.
I know. I would have been like, so what is that? Why is she in a wheelchair? What does that have to do with anything? Like, I wasn't expecting him to have this like dossier on her traumatic history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant, how do you feel about her? What's your relationship? Are you going to take it to the next level?
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm just going to tell you some sad stuff about her family.
Yeah, and I can't figure out if Joe is like supposed to be a background guy because he seems to go on missions at some point later.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Yeah, he has she's the man in the chair, that sort of thing, and then he's like the field. I mean, because he can't do a lot of stuff on his own. Like he needs Joe in the van to help with the getaways, or it's an odd dynamic.
So he's just the getaway guy.
Kinda, yeah. Kind of
sometimes gets involved
in the field, technical, expert. I guess I don't know.
Why couldn't he just stay back? Just be confined to the junkyard.
Right.
That sounds kind of mean.
Yeah.
But just kind of like Whistler and Blade.
Right. Help make the weapons, help with the fabrication, and I don't know why. Like his first night out, he's just solo. He's just on the motorcycle when he's returning, and Uncle Joe isn't a part of that until he gets back. But yeah, at one point he's literally driving the escape van, which I dig the whole escape van as a getaway vehicle for him on the motorcycle. Like that was kind of cool. But yeah, we do get we got the Shaft joke that we've already talked about, and they make a real big deal about he's got one last thing to do, and he pounds out this helmet, and it's very, I don't know, they're putting a lot of emphasis on this helmet reveal that just doesn't feel earned, I guess. But there was one spot when I think they're monitoring John Henry, as he's on his first night out, because he's got forward and rear facing cameras that they're able to monitor, and Uncle Joe gets impressed by something that he does, and he says, well, dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs. And I've never heard that phrase. Just so disgusting.
It's so weird and disgusting. I maybe have a theory because I read that they consulted with teenagers in LA to try to come up with authentic slang.
Okay.
And I think if I was a teenager and some old dude came up to me and said, hey, we're making a movie and we want to make sure people talk the way people really talk here on the streets, I would 100% make up something completely ludicrous just to see if they would put it in the movie.
Yeah.
So I hope somewhere out there, someone is laughing that line made it in the movie.
Oh, once, we've kind of talked about it, but once he's like fully suited up, he's out on the streets. I don't think it's a terrible suit. As I was watching it, I kind of wish they had played with the idea of giving him the big red cape that the comic version of him has. I really like the idea of him with that cape. I mean, I don't think it would have necessarily worked with this movie. It would have just kind of probably gotten in the way, Yeah,
but, and since he doesn't fly, I guess
no
he does
jet boots.
repel a little bit.
Yeah. But I kind of missed seeing that, or I wish that maybe there'd been a sequence where they tried giving him a cape and thought, nah, that's for someone else. It's that's the other guy's look or something like that. But
I noticed as the action ramped up, so did the bad jokes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure of the sequence of any of these things, but there's one point where he falls off a building and he falls into a dumpster. And they're like, are you right? And he says, I'm just a little trashed. It's like, okay, grown.
Yeah.
And then Sparky takes over the traffic lights and she needs to give him a green light for some reason. And it's like, compute. And then, all right, I've got it. And then she says, it ain't easy being green. And it's like, this is not the time for jokes.
Yeah. She's also like, she tries to give the cops a red light, which like red lights don't affect cops if they're in pursuit. I mean, and they're going at such a rate of speed that the oncoming traffic isn't going to have time to react to them changing lights. So it seemed, I don't know, it seemed weird, but
I think it was just to slow them down because the cars are starting to pull into the intersection and the cops are coming, and then you get some awesome reaction shots from that cop. It's just like the worst acting I've ever seen. He's like, oh my gosh, and then turns the steering wheel, but his car's still perfectly straight.
Oh yeah, he almost hits that car. Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad. Man, talk about this movie's really making me get down on this movie now. I didn't feel that bad about it, but now I'm like,
well, we've kind of hit. Travis talked about enjoying the beginning more and then less is it. Now we're into towards the end of Act 2, getting into Act 3, and it really is unraveling because they haven't done the work of kind of setting things up and then letting them pay off. Yeah. And they don't explain what characters mean to one another except for just throwaway lines that are either unsettling, like what you heard about Sparky's family, or just go nowhere. Like, what was her name? Nancy?
Norma.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay, so they have a history. Nope, but you'll never see her again. Yeah. So yeah, then I think it just gets harder to talk about a movie like this because it's like, all right, where is it going? Where are we?
And it doesn't help that like this is a section where you do get a lot of Burke and Martin in this job that we never really see him working the job, just talking about the job, or like the scene where he does meet Burke and they like Burke's like, here, come over here. I want to show you something. I want to show you this virtual reality thing. And you think that's going to lead to somehow like maybe Martin's going to be involved in some crime but not be aware of it, something like that. Something where Burke is going to be manipulating Martin to get back at John Henry. But again, that none of that goes anywhere. And then you've got like Burke on his own. He's starting to get, his plan is to start using these weapons on the streets in various crimes, bank robbery. They want to rob the Federal Reserve, and he wants the weapons to be seen, by the news. He wants the weapons to get publicity as a way to sell the weapons, because he knows that the world's criminals are gonna take notice, and that's so he's gonna let the news be his advertising. Which, as an idea, as a concept, I don't hate. It's certainly something I've never seen before.
Yeah, it's actually something that would work so much better now because you could just have the weapons go viral on social media, and you don't have to have this scene where all the different gangs of criminals are all watching the same news broadcast and like, hey, I want those.
Yeah,
they got the internet. It's more than just fighting porn now, apparently, to that neo-Nazi guy.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get anything on here, not just porn. I was like, oh, that was a weird joke for a kid's movie.
Yeah, it really was, yeah.
That, and you're having like these skinhead Nazi guys in your movie too.
Yeah. I thought like he was going to, Steele was going to take on these guys. I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, I want to see Steele bash some Nazis.
They did not fit in with like the cartel and like all the other international groups after these monies, or these weapons. I didn't understand why they were there.
Yeah.
I don't think they had that kind of funding. Just a guess.
Maybe nowadays.
Yeah.
True. I do want to talk about I actually really liked there's several of the weapons being used are like sonic weapons. Mm-hmm. And every single time they use one of these sonic weapons, it really holds up. Like, I really like the effect of this sonic blast that they use to take down a wall or knock a car over or however they use it. It really works.
Let's not forget my favorite use, making dogs go crazy.
Yeah. I don't love that his hammer works as a gun. Ultimately he spends more time holding the hammer as a rifle, most of the time. I don't love that.
Yeah,
I don't
hate that
remember
too.
him using the
Why
hammer.
didn't you just bring a gun?
Exactly. Yeah. Does he use is the hammer just a hammer in the comics, or is it a high tech, has other gadgets and things?
Sometimes it's high tech.
Okay.
Not like this though.
Right.
I'm trying to remember
Not like
when he
not
used
like
it
a
as
sonic
hammer.
rifle.
But
But he's made it high tech so he can throw it kind of like Thor's hammer, where it has a guidance system.
oh, okay. And returns to him probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Does he use it as a hammer? I don't know that he does. I like
No,
the
I
magnet.
can't think of one time of him swinging the hammer.
Yeah. So my favorite part of the movie, he on his first night out, he saved the couple from being mugged. And once Burke, manipulates it so that it looks like Steele is guilty of using these weapons against a police helicopter, and he tips off, that it's John Henry. So the police raid his house, and they take him in to be ID'd. They book him and all that. And I love when he is on the the lineup, and they bring in the couple to ID him, and I think they realize which one it is, which person is Steele, and they are like, no, he's not here. He was so polite. He was so, helpful, and no, sorry, he's not there. And then they bring in the other officer, and he basically does the same thing. He stands in front of John Henry, and he just has a moment there where he's like, no, he's not here.
That cracked me up. Like,
yeah.
There's not that many 7'1" guys.
Sure. But hey, he wasn't positively ID'd, so.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah. But I really like that.
Doesn't he still have the gun that they found?
I think that's at the junkyard.
No, when they raid the house, Grandma's house, there's a gun they find in the basement.
Right.
I don't know if that was supposed to be the little brothers or...
No, it's the one he took off the kid at the train yard chase.
Oh, because he made himself a magnet?
Yeah.
That's right, okay. I didn't know if the brother got a hold of one because he was working at that place.
I mean, you'd think if they spent any time setting up the brother as a character like that, yeah. But no, it's the one he took off of the and the foot chase through the train yard.
Gotcha. But luckily they can get him out of it with clearance sweepstakes and.
I like that. I thought that was pretty slick.
Oh
yeah, the hacker jailbreak.
Yeah, falsifying the signature and then using the voice recording to make it sound like that guy, the district attorney, is calling to have John Henry released.
Yeah, they make it seem like it was 15 minutes, but it was probably a good day's work. Worth of work.
The sort of ending of the movie is, it's all kind of builds to this arms auction. Thank you. And it's from here on, it's all very broad strokes, very paint by number, just I guess those are kind of opposite things, but right. Just felt very generic, I guess, to me. I don't know, because Steele shows up and then Burke pulls some hostages, but I don't know. I really didn't care for the ending. I guess I should.
Yeah, didn't really.
How did you feel, both of you, about the surprise that Sparky's wheelchair is all decked out with weapons?
Oh, hell yeah.
I kind of already knew about that, just from I guess but the majority of my history with this movie comes from hearing other podcasters talk about it. How Did This Get Made has a great episode on Steele, and so I remember their biggest takeaway was that wheelchair. So
that was the most impressive piece of tech on the whole movie, I think. Just got to work on the aim a bit, but
yeah. I kind of like that John Henry is able to trick Burke into turning on the magnet, part of the hammer. basically he appeals to his curiosity and his lust for power. So that worked.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who one of the I guess criminal bosses at that meeting were. There was like a blonde guy that looked familiar. That's driving me nuts.
Oh, was he Australian?
Yeah.
He is in Mad Max Road Warrior.
Oh, okay, that's what he's from.
Yeah, he's like the leader of the town that Max is trying to save.
It.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I know that guy's from something I've seen.
Yeah.
If you were worried we weren't going to have another free throw joke, we get that. And then the weirdest reaction to a grenade that I've ever seen from a guy with a voice like that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
I thought that the free throw gag was corny too. The only thing that redeems it for me a little bit is I like the trope where it takes a little kid to encourage the hero to do something. So like in Superman 3, when he's turned evil and everybody is mad at him because he keeps going around and, he makes the Leaning Tower of Pisa straight and all that kind of stuff. But there's that little kid that still believes in him, and he says, he's just in a rut. Come on, you can do it, Superman. And so his little nephew or whatever does the same thing. Just relax, just bend your knees. And I mean, I thought it was funny that they didn't have more of a sense of urgency about the grenade.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, just take your time. We could be blown to bits at any moment, but take your time, relax, and then,
it's a while because the kid picks it up, then hands it to Steele, then goes through some coaches, tips, and then it bounces around on the cage rim for about a good 10 Mississippi.
For dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And then it blows. So faulty fuse on that thing.
So of Shaquille O'Neal's just over 11,000 free throw attempts, do you guys want to try and guess what his free throw percentage is?
It was, I'd say 30s.
Yeah, I was going to say 35.
Ooh, man, you guys are not giving him, any credit.
Really?
Of his 11,000, over 11,000 shots, he made 5,900, or maybe just over 5,900.
Ooh.
So his free throw percentage is 52.7%.
Wow.
The lowest in the NBA was someone named Ben Wallace at 41.4.
Okay.
And the highest is Steph Curry at 90.8%.
I think
so. He's not the worst.
I think he got that rep because he sucked in crunch time. When it mattered, he could not make it. Towards the end of games. So I think that's where that reputation comes from. Is that he tended to choke when the team needed the free throws to go down.
Yeah, that would be what people remember.
But I think.
But he was able to sink it when it counted here, and he saved the day.
So he was 1 for 3 in this movie, so that's why I was thinking, 30%.
Nice.
Oh, I got one. Towards the end here, where they're talking to the general.
Okay.
What did you think about the Arnold impression?
I liked that. I thought that was a cool, just throwaway nod.
It was so random.
I mean, yeah. And I like the general even says, I know it's not you, Arnold.
Oh, God. It was such a goofy way to end the movie.
Yeah.
Well, wrap up the movie.
Yeah, I mean, Burke is just dispatched, I think, crushed by some falling, rubble in the building. I mean, not much of a villain death there,
Yeah, I don't. He was like a nothing villain. He was just
we never saw Burke's body.
Oh,
so
right.
If this was a modern DC movie, there would 100% be a post-credit scene where he's dragging himself out, and then he becomes Metallo.
Yeah. I was kind of impressed that they didn't go Burke doesn't build his own suit of armor to fight him,
Yeah, he didn't really have much of a plan.
Yeah, just sell some weapons and
Get out.
get powerful.
Oh, I did like his,
Yeah.
you can lease them because they have to recharge them and
Yeah.
all that stuff. That was kind of funny. I did like that.
I like that the other guy, the other
Oh, Big
villain
Willie.
in the movie, Big Willie. Oh, just the worst. He said, he corrects Burke and says, oh, "We,"
Yeah.
and Burke just shoots him. I like that.
Like, I have no idea why anyone works for Burke.
Yeah, he's pretty cold-blooded. Remember earlier when one of his colleagues didn't like the way that he was doing the weapons testing, and he just killed her in an elevator crash that he staged?
Yeah, he has the one guy to get out and help him with something, and then boom.
He gains a henchman and
Yeah.
takes out a rival. Yeah.
Well,
Don't cross that dude.
yeah. Well, I guess Grandma got her wish. She opened Black and Blue.
Just in the front yard of their
Yep.
of their house.
So random.
Yeah.
You spoiled one of my options for most heroic moment.
Oh, you can still use it.
No, I have another one.
Okay.
Another one.
I was really bummed at this grand opening that the officer wasn't there. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
neither Norma
Neither of 'em.
or the Tom Barry's senior officer that I became such a fan of. Just thought it would be kind of cool, like, because we know that he knows that John Henry is Steele, so it
Yeah.
kind of would have been cool to look over and he just like gives him an approving nod,
Yeah, I just like that Grandma had a house like the one in Up.
Yeah,
It's just this tiny little house in the midst of
nestled in between
towering
some
apartment complexes and stuff. Yeah, she has robo standing ability at the end.
Oh man.
And Grandma's acting like they're getting married, and
Yeah,
roll
she's
credits.
delighted. Like, finally, they're hugging.
Mhm.
It's like I was trying to think. I'm like, was it still too early to have an interracial kiss? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to avoid that, or and it's also fine if these two are just platonic friends. They certainly established that they are friends, but then they also, I feel like there's enough chemistry there that they both want more. That's the feeling that I got from the movie. So yeah, I was a little disappointed that it didn't end with a kiss.
They're both kind of cinnamon rolls. Even at 7 foot whatever, Shaq still has like cinnamon roll energy. So they do. you see the kind of like sweet googly eyes they make at each other. So it is weird to wrap it up with chaste hug.
Because if you think back to the steel mill he's working at, there's like two ladies like eye humping him the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's like oblivious. He's like only got eyes for sparks or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the ladies love blacksmith Shaq.
Yeah, so random. I just thought it was weird they threw that scene in there with the.
Yeah.
And I think the one lady comes back to like,
give him
his
a paycheck.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It's just another character we'll never know. So yeah, that was Steel.
That was
25 years ago. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
I only know that because I just was at a 25th high school reunion. Not for me, my old, decrepit wife.
Ouch.
Who thankfully does not listen to this podcast.
Oh, God, that was
Yeah,
worth
it was released August 15th, which was recently. And
Oh, wow.
So it was the 25th anniversary. And I did not see anyone talking about it.
No.
Yeah. Well,
We're hitting a lot of these 25th anniversaries because obviously because we're in the 97, we just Spawn, just hit its 95th, 25th as well. And I did see some resurgence, other, places on Twitter, people sharing, things about that movie. But yeah, I didn't see anything for Steel.
Well, I was watching this on Prime. That's where I rented it.
Oh, okay.
And they don't have an X-ray for this movie.
Huh. I watched it on HBO. I mean, it's just available on HBO Max.
But usually every movie has like that X-ray feature that tells
Right.
you, and this one does not have it. So I don't think there was much fanfare.
Yeah.
But,
Well, why don't we do most heroic and most villainous? And let's do most heroic first.
I believe there's a hero in all of us
I just finally know what I have to do.
that keeps us honest,
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
gives us strength,
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
Makes us noble.
And I know in my heart that it's right.
And I've already talked about mine. Mine is that lineup moment where neither the couple who got mugged or the officer, ID him. That really gave me the feels.
I'm going to go off the beaten path here, so no need to worry about me stealing anything. I'm going to
Steal, I get it.
No. I'm going to go with the uncle's golden retriever.
I knew you were going to say that as soon as you said off the beaten path. I was like, oh, yeah, there's a good dog hero moment.
It was awesome. And a little shaft punch action at the closing of that. So yeah, I'll go with that. That was awesome. I
Nice.
Actually got up and said, yeah.
That was my other one.
I guess I lied.
The
You did have
dog
to worry.
Lily. As soon as you said, I'm going to go off the beaten path, I'm like, he's going to pick my
Son
other
of a-
one, isn't he?
What was your first one, Jarf?
It was Grandma Odessa persevering and finally
Oh, yeah.
baking her souffle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She did it. And you know what? She had to do it despite her friends and family doubting.
Yeah.
All they did is make fun of her for wanting to try these different dishes. Did she
Yeah, I
let that
didn't
deter
even
her?
think of that.
No.
Yeah. That makes sense because I know you were really taken by that storyline.
And she also gets a really good moment when they're, at the grand opening, and she is talking about family and the conversation. Obviously, Steel comes up, and they're talking about that Steel man, and she's like, yeah, anyone that will protect their family and their community is all right by me, or something like that. And she gives John Henry a look, and he knows that she knows, that sort of thing, and I really like that too.
This planet, these people, they are nothing to me.
You were made to be ruled.
The universe's power. You unstoppable power. Come to me, son of Jor-El. Kneel before Zod. And I am that force. I am that power.
In the end, you will always kneel.
Kneel before your master.
So since I spoiled both of your hero movements, you can go first on the villainous.
Oh, thank you. So this was a lot easier. So it's obviously going to be Burke. And specifically, it was Burke using Sparky as a hostage. And then while he's doing it, putting her down with an ableist slur.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Burke, I'm glad you're dead.
I'm glad you did. What's mine? Mine, I think I'll go with that guy that Burke kills with his hastily made weapon that they're
The testing guy.
Yeah, the guy at the arcade that just gets half of his face blown off.
Yeah.
And he's just very concerned about the weapon, and yeah, I'll go with that one.
I'm going to go with one that you guys inspired me on. I'm going to say it was Johnny kidnapping a lady in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they never caught him.
Nope. I mean, he took her across state lines and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
we're
had a
talking
very similar
trafficking.
scene with all the people at the VA hospital and another lineup, and they're like, nope, we didn't see him. Nope.
Well, they're all accomplices. They were clapping. So
Yeah.
they're not going to turn on him. All right.
Before we hit our, overall thoughts and ratings, I'll share some people in the Facebook group. Friend of the show, Jonathan Howell, said, my memorable experience is that I thought this was going to be a Superman movie, and it was a Trash Man. Sorry. It was a Trash Man movie. And then Sean Malloy, another friend and recent guest of the show, says, I remember this coming and going from theaters, not really knowing why. Then I rented it one afternoon on VHS and figured it out. You know that a film is bad when a 14-year-old who read the comics and played Shaq Fu knew that it was crap. Was that a video game?
Yeah, it was like a fighting game. It was bad. It was it was awful. I played it.
Yikes.
Yeah. Hey, Shaq was a big deal.
Yeah, I get it. Real quickly, since I know, Jarf, you got to head out soon, what's your overall thoughts and rating for Steel?
So overall thought, the most egregious mistake is casting Shaq. So my dream cast is Avery Brooks as Steel from Deep Space Nine. And I actually grew up watching reruns of him in Spencer for Hire as Hawk. So if they cast Avery Brooks in this in 97, it would have been like opening weekend, my brother and I going to see it.
Yeah.
But as it is, I don't remember what the scale is used to rate. If I go by
1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. Okay, I don't know how to translate this, but I was going to say I was going to give it a 51%, the same as Shaq's free throw percentage. So I guess that's a 2.5.
Okay.
That's fair.
Like I said at the start, it was better than I thought it was going to be. I really liked Shaq in this. I thought that the relationships were fun, like not fun, but like enjoyable, like him and Sparks, and most of the characters I really liked. And I just kind of wish I knew what everyone's connection was at certain points. But yeah, overall, like the biggest part for me was how long it took to really get going. I'd prefer less noticing the problems in the community, the guns on the street and that sort of thing, and so little time like suiting up and trying to do something about it. So yeah, overall just kind of unremarkable in some ways, but better than I thought it was going to be, like I've said a few times. So I gave it a 2.
Yep, same here, 2. I mean, I was getting ready for something awful, and it was just awful, not something awful. It gave me like Mario Brother vibes with disappointment levels.
Okay. Of
like expecting something and getting something else. And that's how I always thought of Steel, was people were probably expecting, Superman-esque movie.
Yeah.
And got this. So it was a little better than I thought it would be, but my expectations were super low, and I watched it in like 2 parts.
Oh, okay.
So like I took a break in the middle, which probably helped me out.
Right.
With not feeling like the middle was just forever.
That does make a big difference if you're doing it that way, yeah.
So that's probably what helped it for me, but I can see it's a 2-star movie.
Yeah.
It's not any higher. And the fact that,
between us, it's a 2.16 repeating. So yeah, it's I think perfectly fine. I need to speed this along. So Jarf, why don't you hit your plugs? Tell people where they can find you and all that.
Absolutely. So I host Dazed and Confused 33 1/3, and we've been covering the movie Dazed and Confused one song at a time. I was lucky enough to have Travis as a guest, and it's just been a lot of fun. We do a lot of reminiscing about people's high school experiences and the music they were into and what their social life was like and how they relate to the movie now, looking back at it. So you can find that on Instagram at Dazed Confused 33. And again, it's Dazed and Confused 33 1/3.
Awesome.
Very cool. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you got a hard out here in a minute, so we'll let you go. But no, I'm really glad we got you on, and we'll have you back in the future for some more fun.
Thanks for having me. This has been a blast. I mean, despite our low rating of the movie, I enjoyed talking about it. I enjoyed doing the dive into the comics. Big fan of the show, so keep up the great work.
Awesome. We will try.
So yeah, we've got coming up next movie. We've got the Batman Superman movie, World's Finest.
Yeah.
Animated. So
I've not seen this. That. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was watching. This is kind of it's basically 3 episodes of the Batman Superman, like towards the tail end of the Batman the Animated Series. They started the new Batman Adventures. And then they started to, like the Superman, its own animated show. And so they started to do this thing where they would run them back to back. Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of a 3-episode arc, 3-episode movie, if you will, to like kick off both shows, I guess.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
But it is its own like standalone movie sort of thing. It from memory, it plays as a movie pretty well.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So let's see. I did want to, point out that this is our 150th episode, just kind of not a milestone, but kind of.
Yeah.
Technically, we've done more episodes because we were doing like trailer reviews and other things that had their own numbering sequence. And then when we brought all the episodes kind of under one numbering scheme, but yeah, 150th. So, and if I get this episode out, we're hitting our 7-year anniversary.
Good Lord.
I think on the 23rd of August is our 7 years since our first episode came out. So,
crazy.
little cause for celebration. So
nice. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Kid was 2 then. Good Lord.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That is insane. All right. Well, now I feel old.
Yeah.
That 7 years feels like nothing.
I know. It's gone so fast.
All right.
But yeah, we will. Let's see. We will be back with the Batman Superman. I always call the movie World's Finest, but I think it's just called Batman Superman movie, something like that. So it's kind of generic, but
Okay. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it to rent.
Okay.
Pick the right one. Should be able to find it with all those words.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So come back for that. What else? I suppose that's about it. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Real Comic Heroes. Yeah. I will just say until next time, it's hammer time.
I prefer the Shaft.
He's faster than a speeding bullet. And he's the superhero of Gotham City. And now they're teaming up.
A partnership? You're joking.
To battle the most evil villains of the century.
Pay me $1 billion and I'll kill Superman. Deal?
Deal. With Joker, expect the unexpected.
Look at all the toys. Santa's been good to you, Lex.
He's gotta be kidding.
If one superhero is good,
Don't keep us in suspense.
then 2 superheroes must be better.
Think about it.
It's 2 times the action, 2
Thanks for
times the
listening to
danger,
the podcast.
and 2
Find
times
the
the
show on
excitement.
Facebook
The
and
Batman
Twitter
Superman movie.
It's
Real
over,
Comic
Joker.
Heroes.
It hasn't begun, Sylvie.
Each video
All
comes
music
specially
and audio
packaged with
are
a free
property of
special
their
edition
respective
Batman
creators.
paperback comic book.
I'd say the timing couldn't be better.
Now on video from Warner Brothers Family Entertainment.